Free.
We're not ready.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Next Jessie. And today we are presented with Jessie, the Nicholle. That's it. She doesn't need no other epithet. The is enough. Yep.
Okay, welcome back to my channel, everybody.
Wait. No. We should start again. What is happening?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Oh no!
No, please start again.
Okay.
Oh yeah, cause it feels so right.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Obviously today we have a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Nicholle and I am Jessie's best friend, obviously. She wouldn't have me here.
So essentially today we are going to be having a conversation. So this video is inspired by the amount of TED Talks and interviews and podcasts and just crazy things I like to listen to. I think it's so important nowadays that we have real and authentic, almost therapeutic conversations with our friends and people around us, and listening to these conversations as well, we gain insight into ourselves and we're encouraged to also have these conversations with our loved ones and people we know around us. So obviously I had to bring the person I hate the most to this channel, Nicholle. So the main topic of today we'll be talking about is academic pressures. And Nicholle, you actually didn't grow up in this country. You started your educational journey in a completely different system. So could you tell the people watching the channel a bit about that so they know a bit about you beforehand?
Okay, so I was born in Hong Kong and my kindergarten years I spent some of them in Britain, but I went back to Hong Kong to take my primary school years, and then I moved up to secondary school before returning to Britain in year 10 and starting at Harris Academy Greenwich, which is where I met fabulous Jessie. So yeah.
So how would you define academics in your life? Going through the Hong Kong education system and the British education system and everything you've experienced, how would you define academics in your life back then, and how would you define it now?
Okay, so back in Hong Kong, academics was more about, I think, memorization. So I don't really kind of recall that much about that because I just remember memorizing a lot of things. And at the same time, I don't think the academic world was kind of the same as how the academic world was here, especially when we were in primary school. There was a big focus on extracurricular and competitions, learning how to public speak, to go to different places. There was a big emphasis on kind of development, but people kind of obviously focused on education going up into secondary school, which is why there's a big pressure when you enter into your preteen years and you just start to be kind of molded into the perfect mold of education. You want to become an academic person.
That's so interesting because my childhood, I think the only extracurriculars I did were the things that I would have to ask my parents to put me through. It wasn't really the school that put me through those things. It was me oh my god, dad, I watched Angelina the ballerina, I want to do ballet lessons. Oh my god, we're watching the Olympics, oh my god, I want to do swimming lessons now. That kind of thing I would have to ask my parents. It wasn't really delivered through school, and in some ways I kind of regret it because there are lots of hobbies that I wish I tried out as a kid and wish I experienced and was more influenced to try, especially during the summers. I just sat at home and read books and watched the Simpsons movies.
I see how, I understand how that feels, but at the same time I think it became a little bit overwhelming at some point. I had choir, different music groups, orchestra, prefect stuff after school, loads of different things every single day after school. I would stay behind until 6 o'clock or 5:30 or 4 o'clock, it was kind of draining, but it was super fun at the same time. My childhood was just filled with stuff, but academic wise I didn't really do that much, obviously.
Which is really interesting because I feel over the course of the crazy panoramic we've been in, you had your own academic mental health struggles. Do you think it's because of the amount of things you took on? Because from talking about childhood you could say, oh my god, I enjoyed it. What do you think was the trigger, and do you think it's the education system to blame, or do you think it's the way you personally viewed the education system?
I think coming to a different education system in the UK really changed my ideas towards what a smart person is, what an academic person is, because in Hong Kong obviously it's very different. When I first came to Britain, when I realised that we were actually taking exams not in 4 years as I originally thought, I had no idea what GCSE was, I don't know about A-levels. I remember just sitting there thinking, why is everyone talking about this 7, this 8, this 9, and I was I thought that, you know, you had your grades and A stars, and I thought you only did 3 subjects. I didn't realize there was a whole GCSE you'd go through first. I know it sounds like a bit of a weird decision to come to this country without knowing anything, but a little fact check, I was super bad at Chinese, which was I loved English, so my parents decided I would come back to Britain. I remember GCSEs weren't that deep.
I enjoyed GCSEs. GCSEs were fun.
They were so much fun. They were really rewarding as well.
A levels, however,
it was I think that it was enough, but
yeah.
I think that A levels was hard enough, even though with the grades that we kind of banked in GCSE, I don't think anyone was really prepared kind of mentally. It took a few months for us to all get into, okay, we know what we're doing, and it took 3 months for, you know, something to happen.
Yeah, by the time we like started getting used to everything,
we started enjoying it.
Everything just changed. But I would have to say that I'm very proud of you, because like going from like where you were and like almost repeating the year.
Yeah, nearly
I remember the phone conversation we had, and I was like, no.
She didn't even let me say a word. She was like, no.
It's very interesting though, because as a result of what happened, you are taking a gap year now.
Yes.
And that gap year is helping you fulfill and kind of leading you to some of your goals, and you're so passionate about this gap year.
Guys, if anyone is deciding to do a gap year, if you feel like you really have something to do, go and do it. Honestly, I'm so excited.
You get the opportunity to explore your passions more, and I think this is very unspoken about. Like, I feel like it's like you go to uni, you do an apprenticeship, or you take a gap year, but that gap year, nobody feels that void.
Just
like
find some work,
travel,
volunteer. Yeah, exactly.
But you could really take that time to commit and work to your goals.
And I think that taking gap year was perfect for me, especially at this time when there's so much to be done about education for, you know, everyone who doesn't know, which is probably everyone. I am taking a gap year and I'm becoming a tutor at different schools, and I'm going around talking about education, researching different practices in different schools, and researching how COVID-19 has impacted education and what it looks like for our future, which is something I adore. I love working with kids. If Shana's watching, if you say it's because I have a similar IQ to little kids, I'm gonna slap you. I'm joking, I wouldn't.
So speaking about goals in life, I feel like that's something people in our generation, or if you're not part of our generation, everybody's generation has kind of like struggled with, is kind of like, what is like a goal? What is a purpose? Like in life, like how did you find that avenue where you were like, oh, this is something I really want to do?
This really links back to like the idea about A levels, choosing your subjects. Bit of a kind of tangent. Remember when we were choosing our subjects and we were like, oh, society was like, this is facilitating, it's going to help you the most, and they were like, oh, you need to do that subject, so if you're not sure, just do that subject instead of a subject you're maybe slightly hesitant upon but you felt like you loved, you had more
like me in geography.
Yeah, can you imagine, this girl did not do geography and she came and did
biology
and maths, and she was just, it was just, I feel like the same thing happened to me, and I realized that passion, the first thing about passion is if you can implement it into your studies or into anything that you do, you will just be successful. You don't need to be the best at the thing that society wants you to be best at, but if you're the best in your field because you're passionate about it, it's 10 times better. And number 2, even if you're not super passionate about the subject, if you ended up picking a subject you're not passionate about, if you ended up picking a purpose, a path that you weren't really passionate about, you can still kind of find a way to bring the passion out. You can find a way to force yourself.
They always say that a lot of people find their careers by accident. Like they never intentionally look to go down that path.
Garage geniuses, honestly.
Garage?
Look, people who just make startups in garages and everything.
Everything's always an accident.
It is always an accident. A happy accident.
A happy accident.
Unless they're not happy accidents.
And I kind of feel like this linked back to a video I did about like hustle culture. When you see on social media, this person's on the 9 to 5, they come back home from their 9 to 5, they're investing in the stock market, they're writing 5 different books, and you're at home like watching YouTube videos.
They're learning how to cook from different cultures, and they still have time to watch anime.
It's just like
and self-care and makeup in the morning.
And they come and they're like, I found my passion and my purpose in life, and you're sitting in your pajamas
and you're watching them on your TV
and you're just like
screen.
But then it's kind of like everybody has a different pace in life. Everybody has like a different purpose, a different goal.
Which is also why that even though I had to take a year out, I'm actually a year already after you guys. I'm a year.
She's an old lady.
I'm an old. I am a year older. That just makes me more classic. You know, I'm classy. I'm timeless. I'm joking. Anyway, I mean, even though I'm already 19, I still want to take a gap year. And I know that I'll be entering university at 20 when you're supposed to be entering at 18. But I felt like, you know, everyone really should go at your own pace. You shouldn't, don't try to fit into what the perfect mold of going to university is. If that applies to you, it's no problem at all. Go do what you gotta do. But even if you feel like you're not ready for it, no one's path is the same, and the paths to successes are many and varied. Very seldom do you hear the same story kind of
like what's called in Olivia Rodrigo's new song, she's like she was like, their win is not my loss. Somebody else being successful and getting great grades in university and finding their perfect job is not your loss.
Which I think is a very big difference about here, like this education system here and in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, if you're good, that means I'm bad. Literally. If the teacher was like, oh my gosh, today like he got 98%, he's so good, everyone should be like him, that means
you're not good enough. But that's not the case at all.
That really isn't, guys. If you're watching from Hong Kong, just do it.
Okay, to finish off, actually not to finish off, final question.
No.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years time? No pressure though.
Ooh, are we talking about like a dream or
anything? Like
plan?
It could be a dream.
I feel like I'd be working internationally for many governments. I want to be collaborating, kind of education, kind of spearheading education as something that kind of has a common ground, because educating our youth, like leaders of tomorrow, is something that every single country has as a common ground. And if we don't utilize this common ground, I think we will only sow more diverse, like more kind of what do you say, like
unified.
We become less unified if we don't take advantage of this common ground, especially now that we have social media with so many gadgets, so much technology at our hand. I just love to be in all those small regions where they don't really have schools yet. I feel like that's what I'm doing one day.
Okay, the final thing, you have to recommend our viewers a book, because that's what I do. I recommend series, I recommend books. So she loves reading, so if one person was like on their deathbed, God forbid, and they only had an opportunity to read one more book, what book would they read?
Ooh, that depends. Okay, you know what?
And don't say the Bible.
I was gonna say the Bible. Okay, here it is, the book you need. If you're out there, it's a series that I loved personally when I was kind of much younger back then. I think I was like 12 and 13 when I started reading this. I think it's a series that's quite timeless. And
Horrid Henry, guys.
No, guys, don't do it. It's called The Atlantis Grail. It's by Vera. And it's kind of science fiction in a dystopian society, and it gives you a lot of things. It gives you a lot of food for thought. It's very interesting, and sometimes when you just need a taste of childhood, I always go back to that series. So
anyway, thank you so much, Nicholle, for being my first guest ever on my channel, and first for our conversation. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. So what are you guys gonna do? You're gonna like, you're gonna comment, and you're gonna subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye. Oh, that's Nicholle's cat, by the way, if you hear meowing.
Whoops. Yeah, open it.
I don't want to think you're scared. Should I take it? Larry?
Thank God for editing.
Alright. Larry, do you want to leave?
Thank you. No.
What the hell?
He's a cat.
It's killing me slowly.
Who was that?
Olivia Rodrigo.
I haven't memorized her album yet.
What's called your favorite? Which one? Driver's license.